Joey Saib, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings of God be upon you all. The National President for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the Armed Forces, the President for PAAMA, and all those representatives from different parts of the country who have joined us tonight in a remembrance to remember those who sacrificed their life for the sake of peace we are enjoying today. As we usually normally will start with a recitation of the Holy Quran, and I would like to request a young ambassador, Tawfiq Idris, to recite a portion of the Holy Quran, which will be followed by the English translation by Israfil Kusi Ado. Brother Tawfiq, please.
Jazakallah khairan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق
Tawfiq, unmute yourself, please.
Jazakallah khairan.
That is welcome to the media world, and indeed, there's no doubt that I request now Brother Israfil, young ambassador, to recite the translation from these verses that have been recited. To Israfil, please.
The translation of the verses which have just been recited before you are from Al-Mulk, Quran chapter 67, verses 1 to 3. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Blessed is he in whose hand is the kingdom, and he has power over all things. Who has created death and life, that he might try you, which of you is best in deeds, and he is the mighty, the most forgiving. Who has created 7 heavens in harmony. No incongruity canst thou see in the creation of the gracious God. Then look again. Seest thou any flaw?
Thank you very much, Brother Safil. The respected guests, the National President of the Armed Forces. The next thing on the agenda is the national anthem, as we pay a tribute and respect to the late MP who passed away. And this is indeed to send the message that we, as the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we stand united against hatred and extremism. So the national anthem, I request those who are able to stand, and the camera you cannot break, please, you can stand where possible as a part of respect, or you can turn off your camera.
Save our gracious
Thank you very much. I take opportunity to welcome Mr. Tommy Kalu. Mr. Tommy Kalu is the national president for the Pan-African Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. Mr. Tommy Kalu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be unto you with the mercy of Allah and His blessings. It is indeed my honor and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Pan-African Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, PAAMA, UK, to this virtual remembrance service. We are humbled to see so many convene here virtually in reverence and remembrance, united in our universal desire and our noble ideal of honoring the service and sacrifices of all those who have fought and died in defense of the freedoms and shared values we enjoy today. This year, as the Royal British Legion commemorates its centenary, we congratulate them and commend their enduring legacy built over the last century and their work in supporting and memorializing those from the UK and Commonwealth communities who serve or have served in the armed forces. And we reaffirm our humble commitment to support the ongoing efforts and charitable endeavors, especially through raising funds for the Poppy Appeal. We also avail ourselves of this opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous contributions made by the emergency services, frontline staff, and key workers, particularly during the coronavirus pandemic. In their efforts to fight against the pandemic and keep us all safe, they continue to unearth the unsullied emblem of goodness, and for that, we are truly grateful. Gratitude holds a profound meaning for we, the members of PAAMA, and indeed the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. The Holy Quran repeatedly highlights the importance of gratitude, and a well-known tradition of the Holy Prophet of Islam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, states, "He who is not thankful to fellow human beings is not thankful to God." Today's event underscores the huge debt of gratitude we owe to our fallen heroes and all veterans, service personnel, emergency, frontline, and key workers whose devotion to duty is evident by the eloquence of their example and the scale of their humanity. And finally, I would like to thank all who have taken the time out to join us here this evening. It was US statesman Henry Clay who once said, "Courtesies of a small and trivial character are the ones which strike deepest in a grateful and appreciating heart." By honoring us with your presence today, you set our hearts aglow with gratitude and appreciation. Once again, on behalf of PAAMA UK, I welcome you all to this virtual remembrance service. Thanks for having me. Wassalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Mr. Tommy Kalu. And now we'll have a very brief introduction. Many members, when we were sending invitation, they ask, who are these individuals? Who are you? Some of members have just been with us for this first time. And we put together a few of the clips to introduce what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community are. Let me request the IT department, if you can, please play the short video.
The Ahmadiyya Muslim community is a dynamic, fast-growing international revival movement within Islam. Founded in 1889, with membership exceeding tens of millions. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community is the only Muslim community to believe that the long-awaited promised Messiah has arrived, in the person of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, India.
Persecuted for your beliefs, jailed for your faith, and exiled from your homeland, but you refuse to turn to bitterness or vengeance. Instead, His Holiness has emerged as a leader of wisdom and compassion, a champion of nonviolence among nations.
No society can truly succeed unless it guarantees the rights of all of its peoples, including religious minorities, whether they're Ahmadiyya, Muslims in Pakistan, or Baha'i in Iran, or Coptic Christians in Egypt.
I would like very much to confirm my support for the work that His Holiness and the Ahmadiyya Muslim community are doing, particularly in London.
I know you are a regular visitor and speaker to parliaments and assemblies around the world, whether it's the US Congress or the European Parliament.
Let it be clear that I am not speaking in support or favor of any particular individual country. What I wish to say is that all forms of cruelty, wherever they exist, must be eradicated and stopped, regardless of whether they are perpetrated by the people of Palestine, the people of Israel, or the people of any other country.
In this, we are allied with His Holiness, a courageous champion of religious freedom and of peace.
I'm very glad that the movement like yours will do something to correct this image. Islam means peace.
I should thank Your Holiness for your highly enlightened sermon, not only for the Ahmadis, but I would say for all mankind.
Love for all and hatred for none. And this message not only for Muslims, but for everybody.
You are a man, though of humble beginnings, your leadership has made you a figure of global prominence, and you have become a guide for millions of Muslims worldwide.
Young British Muslim. 3 words that conjure images of extremism, violence, and terrorism. But there is a group of young British Muslims turning this stereotype on its head. A group of Muslims who have raised thousands of pounds for the Poppy Appeal, helped over 11,000 people in disaster relief efforts, fed over 60,000 homeless people, donated 6,500 units of blood, visited over 6,800 people in hospitals and care homes, planted over 150,000 trees, and raised over £2.5 million for charity. They are the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association.
The only word is inspiring, utterly inspiring.
A credit to the Muslim community, and I hope the whole world knows about all the wonderful things that you've done for us.
You've really showed us the true, kind, compassionate face of Islam. So, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Indeed, that's a very brief introduction of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I want to take this opportunity once again. As always, I think I might have missed.
There is no virtual television.
Thank you. I take opportunity to welcome the Deputy Lord Lieutenant, who is representing the Lord Lieutenant for West Midland, Dr. Beverly, OBE. Dr. Beverly, she's also the matron and indeed the caretaker for community ambassadors, where the communities come together. I welcome Dr. Beverly to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. President, Lord Mayors, members of Parliament, members of the Armed Forces, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, young people, children, good evening. The Lord Lieutenant would like to thank you for your kind invitation, and he's sorry that he could not join you this evening, but he sends his best wishes. I am delighted to join you this evening as the Lord Lieutenant's representative in my role as Deputy Lieutenant of the West Midlands. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Royal British Legion, perhaps best known for the yearly Poppy Appeal and Remembrance Services. The Legion campaigns and promotes the welfare of interests of current and former members of the British Armed Forces. In 1921, this worthy organization was a vision of Lance Bombardier Tom Lister, who was so moved by the suffering of servicemen and their families who served in the Great War. He thought that the government were either unwilling or were unable to do anything to improve the lives of ex-servicemen. So he decided that he would do something about it. His vision eventually led to the formation of the British Legion. The Legion gained its royal status charter in 1925. Last year, due to COVID-19, the Legion lost over £29 million in fundraising revenue, at a time when I'm sure that the challenges of coping with the pandemic had increased the demands for their services. We are delighted that they are back this year. The funds are desperately needed to support those vulnerable ex-servicemen and women and their families. I encourage everyone to buy a copy this year. Please do not recycle last year's and support the Legion during these challenging times. And please have a kind word to say to the copy sellers and thank them for their efforts. We salute the individuals who have served and persevered and overcome the odds to create a legacy for generations to come. We celebrate the underlying spirit of these great men and women. As we thank and celebrate this significant milestone of the British Legion, we commend them for their efforts and their tremendous work in saving and changing many lives. And in doing so, let us also remember and pay tribute to the servicemen and women from the Commonwealth and throughout the world who bravely stood shoulder to shoulder with British forces during the wars. Let us remember those who selflessly gave their lives, whose sacrifice enabled us to enjoy the peace and freedom we have today. It is with gratitude and humble admiration that I wish to express to all of those who served and are still serving a very sincere thank you. We will remember them. God bless.
We will remember them. Thank you very much, Dr. David OBE, a representative for Her Majesty the Queen, a representative of Lord the Lieutenant. Indeed, the rise of extremism and hatred, there's no doubt it threatens the peace of our society. And as a result, this has resulted in violence and murder. What are the Ahmadiyya Muslim community response? I welcome Mr. Jamil to share a few thoughts, Islam's Ahmadiyya response to hatred and extremism. Mr. Jamil, in the words of the Caliph, of the current Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad. Mr. Jamil, sir, please.
May the peace and blessings of God be upon you all. According to the Holy Prophet of Islam, may the peace and blessings of God be upon him. Allah will not be merciful to those who are not merciful to mankind. Kindness is a mark of faith, and whoever has no kindness has no faith. The horrific actions of extremists who conduct their brutality in the name of Islam have led many to question whether Islam advocates terrorism and violence. The truth, however, is that Islam and terrorism are poles apart, as there is no justification in Islam for any form of terrorism. Religion is a source of guidance that leads mankind to be at peace with God and with each other. Islam teaches us that all prophets of God and all religions came with the same message of peace. Any actions that create disorder or destruction is completely contrary to the teachings of all prophets and certainly against the teachings of Islam. Therefore, a Muslim is one who strives to be at peace with all around him. Extremism is therefore against all religions and Islam in particular. The very meaning of Islam is peace, security, and giving a guarantee of protection against all forms of harm. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Jamil. Indeed, I would like to welcome Councillor Shawat Chaudhry, the Mayor for Croydon, if is in the audience. Been trying to scroll through if the Mayor is there for Croydon. While the Mayor is unmuting himself, can I request the Mayor for Wolverhampton to unmute yourself? Councillor Craig, please. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again for the invite. It's my honour to be here today on behalf of the City of Wolverhampton, and I know I speak for all of them when I pay tribute to all those whose selfless service, sacrifice has led to our freedoms today. We in Wolverhampton are proud to sign the Armed Forces Commitment every year, even though we only need to sign it every 3 years. But we sign it every year. We are well served by our veterans in our community, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with them and their families to thank them and pay tribute to their service. I'm extremely grateful for being here and being invited here today, and I wish to thank all members who are here to pay tribute to those soldiers, sailors and air service men and women. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mayor of Wolverhampton. If we have the Mayor, Mr. Chaudhry, Councillor Mayor from Chaudhry for Croydon, you can unmute yourself. If anybody has spotted him, we can come back. Can I as well request now, while we are waiting for the Mayor, Ms. Azia Mill, the pilot officer from the Air Force, to share his message, a contribution of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to Royal British Legion, and to honor the Armed Forces Covenant, which we have signed. Mr. Chair, please.
National President, UK Amir Saab, Rafiq Ayat Saab, PAAMA President, Mr. Tommy Cullen, Deputy Lord Lieutenant, Lord Mayors, members of the Armed Forces, veterans, brothers, sisters, Assalamu alaikum. The Royal British Legion is an organization that has been around for 100 years, as we know. This is being its centenary. It is a worthwhile charity that a multitude of members of the country get together, to come together and to raise money to help those that actually need it. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, through its auxiliary organizations, has over the years raised multiple funds for the Royal British Legion. In fact, last year they raised over £500,000 through its various charity programs, including from the Elders Association, through their Charity Walk for Peace, through the Youth Association, through their Mercy for Mankind, via runs, bikes, bikeathons, hikes, and generally also at this moment in time, during the weekends and during the weekdays, they're up and down the country in London Underground tube stations, to football stadiums, at shopping malls, town centres, raising funds alongside members of the Royal British Legion with a dual branding to show that we are there under the Charity Walk for Peace or Mercy for Mankind alongside members of the Royal British Legion. And why do we do this? The principles of all of this comes from the beliefs of our faith, where the Holy Prophet ﷺ has stated service to the nation is part of your faith. And with that, last month, the Elders Association, through Charity Walk for Peace, in fact, also signed the Armed Forces Covenant in London in the presence of Honorary Captain Dardara Ansari, Lord Lieutenant of the area, as well as the Deputy Prime Minister. That event itself took place in Morden in South London at our national main mosque, and was attended by a multitude of different organizations, including Scouts and various other bodies. And the reception that we received from everybody has been overwhelming. But in fact, we're not here for that. We're here because serving our nation is part of our faith, and that is helping those that need the help the most. In fact, on 14th of November, the community throughout the country will also be laying wreaths in over 30 venues, sharing our work with the general public at various services. So much is the armed forces in the UK or in any nation that we are members of, that we have members of our community joining up into the armed forces now, more and more. In the UK alone, we now have 3 officers in the Royal Air Force, 7 members of our community from different walks and backgrounds, including from Africa, from born and bred in the UK as well, are in the British Army. And we have a number of applications currently for the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines. I'd like to finish off with a poem that I came across online with all the activities that I'm up to. And it's a poem by Robert Binney. That is, they shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun in the morning, we will remember them. Jazakallah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Izia. We will remember them. Remembrance service is the time for us to honor those who have served and serve our country. It is time for Christmas as it comes closer. Some of them have no choice, but rather to stand and defend our freedom, and defend the families, and defend our streets. I request, before I proceed, we have a number of MPs who are joining from different areas. I will not mention all their names, but indeed try to utilize the cursor you have, you will go through. As I said, we have a numbers of councillors across the country who have also joined us. I now would like to request the IT department if they can play the contribution of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and the goodwill message from the community ambassadors.
There were over 400,000 Muslim soldiers, and at least 89,000 of these Muslims were recorded as having given their lives for Britain. It is a little known fact that 20% of all British Empire recruits were actually Muslims. In addition to the Muslim soldiers who fought for Britain, an additional 280,000 Algerians, Moroccans and Tunisians fought for the Allies, taking the total of Muslim contribution to almost 700,000 Muslim soldiers. According to military historian Gordon Corrigan, if the Indian Army hadn't arrived when it did, the Germans may well have broken through, and they may well have got to the Channel ports, and the whole history of the war may well have been very different.
For our right to freedom from torture and inhumane treatment. They fought for our right to equal treatment. They fought for our right to freedom of thought, religion and expression. They fought so that we all should have right to education. We will remember them.
Morning, my name is Councillor Marcus Lapser. As a young man, I served in the Royal Regiment of Wales, where the 3 feathers was our cap badge, and I wear it with pride. Remembrance to me means always remembering those that have given the ultimate sacrifice, but also those that serve us today in our armed forces. So on Remembrance Day, please send out a special thought and prayer to all those that have given the ultimate sacrifice, but also those families who have lost.
Pastor Femi Obatomi from Nigeria, part of the Commonwealth, and I remember our parents fought in the World War on behalf of Great Britain. Remembrance to me is very vital, because the heroes of our labor past should not be in vain. When we remember them, we recollect all the sacrifices that they made to keep us on today. Because without those sacrifices, it will be difficult. The world will not be a better place than we are today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Sayda Ailasha, and I'm a member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. As an adherent to the Islamic faith, whose guiding principle was the founder of Islam, we follow and practice human rights in its pristine form. When the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, arrived in Medina, he promulgated the Charter of Medina, which ensured everyone's human rights. On this day, we remember our fallen soldiers, because this is what they stood for, protecting and ensuring everyone's human rights. We will remember them.
Remembrance to me is very simple. It's about remembering all the people
who made the ultimate sacrifice of giving up their lives in defence of what they believed in, across the world in different conflicts throughout the ages. We remember them because they gave us the life we enjoy today through their sacrifice. We will remember them, and we will hold dear all the things they fought for, freedom and democracy. We will remember.
What was the reason why these men and women gave their lives up for us? And I think at the core of it is the most amazing gift to us, and that is the freedom to be who we are.
Sacrifice their today for our tomorrow. To give us the right to vote, to give us the right to apply for jobs based on experience, not skin complexion, to practice our faith without any restrictions. We will remember them.
La fondatrice de Baïkran Empowerment Group. Aujourd'hui, nous parlons de rappeler aux gens qui ont vraiment travaillé dur pour ce pays. Vraiment, on doit passer tout le temps à se rappeler d'eux.
Women in paid employment were not a new phenomenon in 1914. They made up a substantial part of the industrial workforce even before the First World War, although they were mainly concentrated in textile manufacture. After 1915, when the need for shells intensified, women were brought into munitions manufacturing in large numbers. By 1918, almost 1 million women were employed in some aspect of munitions work.
And Allah is knowing of the righteous. Taking part in the remembrance of the heroes of World War I and II is a part I can play in appreciating the heroes and presents the true message of Islam. Love for all, hatred for none.
During World War, women gave water and served food to the soldiers. Our community believes firmly in remembering those who sacrificed their lives for the freedom we enjoy today. We will remember them.
That every single deed done will be rewarded. I join everyone to remember the heroes that fought for the peace I am enjoying today.
We will remember the past heroes. Faith is complete when we carry out virtuous deeds and become helpful for others.
Taking part in popular appeal is a good deed.
Good day. My name is Donald Campbell. I served 36 years in the Royal Air Force as an aircraft engineer, and I'm very, very proud to have done so. To me, remembrance service means remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and those who are still serving today. And of course, those who supported everyone who have served and are still serving. Please, let us remember them today and forevermore. Thank you.
Those who say, Our Lord, we do believe, forgive us, therefore, our sins, and save us from the punishment of the fire.
Our Lord, give us what thou hast promised to us through thy messengers, and disgrace us not on the day of resurrection. Surely thou breakest not thy promise.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm standing in a really special place at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire. And I'm standing in front of the Royal Navy's principal central memorial and the Field of Remembrance that's gathered here now every year, which recognises the more recent sacrifices made by members of the UK Armed Forces across the globe. I've been asked to say a comment on my own reflections on remembrance, why we do this at this time of year, and I've just been looking at some of the names, many of whom I recognise from my service, and so we're talking about people we knew, people we didn't, and we're talking about sacrifice. And most of all, we're talking about keeping their memory and their sacrifice with us so that it's never forgotten. And that's really what remembrance is about, that we don't forget the sacrifice made by those who fell in service of their country. And we know that means for all communities many different things for many different people, and it's all about all communities, because if we go back to the World Wars, just an example, so many troops from Commonwealth countries made the ultimate sacrifice during the World Wars and many other occasions. So for me, remembrance is a very special and personal thing. It's about comradeship, it's about remembering good and bad times, and it's mostly about remembering friends and comrades who we've served with and who we'll never forget because they made the ultimate sacrifice. So I'll finish my message here standing in remembrance at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire.
We will remember them. Indeed, it is a time for all of us here. We are ambassador to our place of work, to our community. We have faith or we don't have faith. We need to remember that those who left their homes, they did not come back. And today, when we see the so-called blasphemy law, the so-called apostasy law, are people using the so-called laws to murder people, innocent people, in the name of Islam, in the name of whatever they want to use. We request you, as we stand together, to remember those who have sacrificed their life. We must raise our voice. It's no longer a foreign issues. It's no longer a foreign matters. We must stand shoulder to shoulder as those who stood shoulder to shoulder to defend our freedom. I request the IT department to play a clip from the National Royal British Legion chairperson.
It is a privilege to be asked to address your remembrance service on behalf of the Royal British Legion. Wassalam. Since 1921, when 4 ex-service organisations joined together in a spirit of placing service to others before self, the Legion has worked with enthusiasm, intelligence and commitment, pursuing a mission of bringing together nations, communities and people to provide a better future for our armed forces, veterans and their families. The Legion's 3 roles set out by our founders of campaigning, welfare and remembrance remain our focus today, and they are as relevant today as they were 100 years ago. They are coincident with your principles of love for all, hatred for none, to contribute to society. In 1921, there were some 20 million qualifying for Legion help. This figure is now 6 million, with many of them from your faith, with about half over 75 years of age and 100,000 inquiries a year, each resulting in a life changed for the better. The Legion has had many campaigning successes. The Covenant and the Census are just 2 examples. And now we hope the cost of visas will be scrapped for those Commonwealth forces who wish to remain in the UK. We are a powerful voice for change, just as you are, and are optimistic that we will succeed, inshallah. With you uniting all faiths and cultures in remembrance and recognising the crucial role played by the Commonwealth forces, they are remembered. Long may you continue.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's the message from the chairperson, Una Clemson, the National Chair for Royal British Legion. We all here, we know the name. We should wear a poppy with the proudness. We should wear a poppy and knowing why we are wearing this poppy. It is not about politics. It's not about our religion. It's not about color or creed. I've been informed that Councillor, the Mayor for Croydon, is in the house now. Can I request the Mayor, Councillor Chaudhry, if you are able to unmute yourself to share your remarks, and then we can go back, please. Thank you. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I had to go to another event, that's why I'm a bit late as well. I remember those who gave their life for others, irrespective of religion, culture, or any differences, because they gave their life for others, and because they gave their life for freedom, defend the freedom. Now we are enjoying their freedom because of them, which is really, really important. I think we must take the lesson we learned from them, and we need to build ourselves and our future generation to defend our freedom, which is really important. On behalf of Cordon, I remember every one of them who they gave their life, either Europe, Asia, America, or wherever they Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or any religions. So I remember them, and of course we must have a lot of respect for them, love for them. And thank you very much for arranging this meeting, which is really appreciated. And thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, the Mayor, for sharing your thoughts. I now welcome Honorable Retired Honorable Carol, Madam the MP for Glasgow, to share your remarks. Honorable, if you can unmute yourself. I'm told, Honorable, you're in the house.
Thank you very much for your invite to speak this evening, and good evening to everybody that's listening online. It's absolutely right that we take time at this time of year to remember the sacrifice made by so many people to ensure that we're able to live in freedom and democracy today. And though it's right to remember those who died 100 years ago, it's also important to remember that many are still sacrificing their lives today so that others may live in peace. And I want to pay tribute to all of those who are still involved in conflict throughout the world. This year I want to remember especially the many people who have given their lives in Afghanistan. Although the situation in Afghanistan remains particularly serious, it's important to recognise that for 20 years peace was kept, and for 20 years girls were able to go to school and be educated. And I really hope that that educated population will give Afghanistan a future, a better future. As you're uniting all faiths and cultures in your remembrance today, I wish to join you and thank you for this event. Finally, I wish to say for everybody listening in, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Thank you very much, Right Honorable, all the way from Glasgow to join us. And indeed, this is the time we all need to work as hand in hand to stand up against hatred, to stand up and remember those who have served their country for the sake of peace. I would like to take opportunity to welcome Commander Samantha Summers from the Fire Services of West Midland, who covers the Black Country, North Warsaw and Wolverhampton. Commander Samantha, please, welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for the invitation to be a part of this really important event where we recognise and reflect on the freedoms that we enjoy day to day due to the ultimate sacrifices made by men and women of England and the Commonwealth. Our firefighters in London and Coventry stood in a gap, protecting the UK the best that they could during the Blitz, and many of them lost their lives also. We're proud, in terms of the West Midlands Fire Service, to be attending over 30 events this year, locally and nationally. And we support the Armed Services Covenant to support those who are still serving today. All of our fire stations will be standing in unity for 2 minutes silence on the 11th hour, on the 11th month, and having our flags at half mast. So we just want to be happy to be part of this remembrance, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Commander Samantha, indeed, for sharing your words. I would like to welcome Right Honourable James Sunderland to share his thoughts. Honourable covers the constituency of Bracknell constituency. Please come and share a few words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fantastic privilege to be with you this evening on this most important occasion. I've known the Ahmadiyya community for a number of years now, and I always enjoy my time working alongside you. And what you do for the community is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much indeed. It's also very appropriate that I'm here this evening because it is, of course, the 100th birthday of the Royal British Legion, and I just happen to be the chair of the Veterans All-Party Parliamentary Group in Westminster. So it's a great honour, and I just want to brief you very quickly on what I think is important. Well, first of all, today we have 2.2 million veterans in the UK, and there are Ahmadiyya veterans amongst them, and we have Ahmadiyya servicemen and women serving with our armed forces. It's a very important community, and we are a very, very diverse organisation. So it's a great privilege to be here once again. And of course, we've heard earlier that 20%, quite staggering, of the commitment in the First World War for Commonwealth troops were of a Muslim background, which again, it's easy to forget that, and we must not forget that. It's a massive thank you to everyone for that recognition. But of course, the Commonwealth is much bigger than the Ahmadiyya. It's much bigger than the UK. We must recognise our African and our other Commonwealth forces who made the ultimate sacrifice, and therefore we wear the poppy with pride. Of course, the poppy comes from Flanders Fields originally. It's come to symbolise the fallen, but it's also come to symbolise our respect for the fallen, and we do wear it with pride every year, not just in the UK, but right across the world. And it is really amazing how many people do come together on Remembrance Sunday at these fantastic parades that we now enjoy in the UK. And of course, our leaders and senior ministers are often at the Cenotaph in London on that special occasion. So it just leaves me now to say thank you once again. Best wishes to you all. Happy birthday to the Royal British Legion. We will remember them.
We will remember them. Thank you very much, Honourable, for sharing your thoughts. And indeed, we continue to pray for one another, to stand shoulder to shoulder, to see that we defend and remember those who have sacrificed. Before I can bring on another item, I want to read a note which came from the Prime Minister's office. Says, "Dear PAAMA members, thank you for the recent letter kindly inviting the Prime Minister to the Pan-African Ahmadiyya Muslim Association UK officially on the 5th to pay tribute to those who serve and have served in this country in the armed conflicts. Whilst the Prime Minister very much appreciate your invitation, I hope you will understand that the pressure on his diary will prevent him from accepting at this time. He's not able to attend. However, on the Prime Minister's behalf, please accept my best wishes for what I am sure will be a very moving and poignant occasion." This is the message we received from the Prime Minister's office. Indeed, we know that there are meetings taking place. Before we can move on, we have the former leader for Labour, Jeremy Corbyn, who is with us, and I would like you to request Honourable Jeremy Corbyn to share his thoughts on the Remembrance Day. Jeremy Corbyn, please. Sure, if the organizers, you can allow Jeremy Corbyn to unmute himself, you can move on and then we can come back. The organizers, possible? Okay, move on. I think now we would like to welcome Commander Dave Johnson. Commander for HM Forward, please, if you can come and share your words as remarks to the serving representative for the armed forces, please. Commander Dave, please.
Good evening. It's an honour to join you all this evening for this act of remembrance. The First World War and the first acts of remembrance in 1919 are now over 100 years ago and beyond living memory. However, it still affects us today, and we see this every November. For me personally, 5 years ago, the body of a sailor serving with the Royal Naval Division in France in 1917 was found by a farmer turning his field. After 2 years of painstaking research, he was identified as able seaman John Robertson. I had the honour of being part of the naval contingent who buried him with full military honours in July 2018, 101 years after his death. His 82-year-old nephew travelled out with us and was there to remember the uncle he had never met. Even if the First World War is beyond living memory, the second isn't, with servicemen and women and families still with us. But since then, it's been smaller conflicts such as Malaya, Korea, Aden, Cyprus, the Suez Crisis, all a long time ago. It's only when you get into Northern Ireland, the Falklands, the Gulf War of 1991, Yugoslavia, Sierra Leone, Iraq and Afghanistan that you have younger veterans of those conflicts. Regretfully, the only years since the Second World War that a British service person hasn't died on active service are 1968 and 2016. Over 7,000 have been killed since then. These more recent conflicts are small in comparison to the two Great Wars, and the number of families affected not as many. So although it may no longer affect as many people or as many families, the reality is people are still undertaking the necessary role of service before self, and the pain of loss for those families is still heart-wrenching. Please be assured, I would have much preferred to have spent my 37 years of service in a peaceful world, but occasionally I and many others have been asked to place ourselves in danger to keep others safe. Friends have been killed or died as a result of their service, and I'm still in touch with some of their families. I always hope that everyone could spare just 2 minutes once a year just to think of all those people affected by war, not just those that died or those that were wounded, but also for their families they left behind, and even the families that don't exist because they died so young. Maybe if everyone stopped for just 2 minutes to think, we'd probably see far less war. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commander Dave. And on that note, we go into the preparation for remembrance. I would like to request everybody to take a minute and pause and think, pray for those who have died in different conflicts, and also think about what we can do to make a world place a better place to live. When we see the communities are divided about blacks or white supremacy, how we as ambassadors, we can be those leaders who can make a change into the areas, place of work, where we work, where we live, where on the street where we live. I now request the IT to start the act of the remembrance.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Now we'll have the last post and the 2-minute silence and then delivery. Thank you. Now we have the reading from the Holy Bible by veteran Donna Campbell, the warrant officer from the Royal Air Force. Donna Campbell, please.
Good evening. It's an honor and a privilege to participate in this remembrance service. The scripture reading will be from Psalms 91, verses 1 to 3. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. We will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome the chairman, president for Namdri Sikh Sangati to do the reading from Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Mr. Obi, please, if you can unmute yourself. The IT department, if you can allow Mr. Obi to unmute himself, please. Go ahead.
Okay, and good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, Kuljit's not feeling very well, so I'm going to be covering on his behalf. And thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to be reading a hymn, singing a small shabad, which is a hymn taken from Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and which is a prayer to God. And it means, you are my creator and I'm your servant. I have taken to your sanctuary, O God, most profound and excellent. You are my life, you are my support. Beholding you, my heart lotus blossoms forth. And I'm just going to sing a few lines. Thank you. Tu mera karta, tu mera karta, ho sevak tera, saran gahi prabhu, guni gahera. Saran gahi prabhu, guni gahera. Tu mera karta, tu mera karta, tu mera jeevan, tu aadhar, tu mera jeevan, tu आधार, तुझे ही देख बिगसे कौलार, तुझे ही देख बिगसे कौलार.
Wahiguru Karakati, Wahiguru. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Indeed, this is what the foundation, what the platform, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community are putting forward. Thank you very, very much. And now I request the Imam Abdul Ghaffar Sahib, the regional Imam for West Midland, to come and share prayers from the Holy Quran. Mr. Imam Abdul Ghaffar Sahib, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. The translation is as follows. Our Lord, let not our hearts become perverse after thou hast guided us, and bestow on us mercy from thyself. Surely thou alone art the bestower. Thank you very much.
Very much, Imam Abdul Ghaffar Sahib. We And next week, Sunday, we are all standing into remembrance. Well, we request the entire country. We are having right now the entire country, mayors, MPs, all we're here. Reflect about the service you're gonna give. We have the Sikh soldiers who died. How are you gonna remember them? We have the Muslim soldiers who died. We want to make sure that people, they are not offended because of the language. Oh, this one is a Muslim. Oh, this one is a Black. The time for remembrance. Let's try to stamp out the hatred, which is absolutely rooting into in the community. And now invite Councillor Edithi, Deputy Mayor for Merton, to read the Kohima Epitome, please. Deputy Mayor, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much for inviting me today. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. But you can text just to confirm. Now it is the time to welcome the National President for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK, Mr. Rafiki Hayat, to share the concluding remarks. And I would request the members, before I can request the National President, please remember Her Majesty the Queen in your prayers. Remember the Pope in your prayers. Remember the Church of England in your prayers. Remember the leaders, MPs right now, they are fearing to go and do their own jobs simply because we have individuals who are using, whether it's faith, whether hatred, there's nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with religion, because the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, he says, one of my members, if he finds a house of a Hindu, a house of a Christian, a house of a Buddhist, it's on fire, and he does not distinguish that fire, he is not a member of my community. This is the message we put across, that we as the member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we are not just doing these events for the purpose of anything else, rather to remember those who are serving our country and served our country to defend the freedom we are enjoying. Mr. Rafiki Hayat, please welcome to make a concluding remarks.
Jazakallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Deputy Lieutenant, respected parliamentarians, Tommy Carlo, Chairman of PAAMA, honored guest, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. It is right that we honor those who made the sacrifice. It is the teaching of Islam that you should serve your nation. And it is something that His Holiness has also stressed upon. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Association has a proud history of both service to the country and in honoring their memory. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the British Legions on their 100th anniversary. And I am proud to say that over many years, we have worked very closely as a community with the British Legions to raise millions of pounds for those who gave their lives to have peace in the world today. By standing together, we build better society and show that we are united in the love of our country. Millions laid down their lives during the 2 world wars for our freedoms. Therefore, it is sad to see that we still have conflict. And His Holiness has been warning that unless mankind turns to peace and to God, it will fall into the trap of another world war. So by honoring those who fought for peace, we must redouble our efforts for peace at every level of society. Individual, local, national, and international. We must ingrain the message of peace in our children so that too hold this dear. As His Holiness has said, we must embark on a race for peace rather than an arms race. There are many global challenges at this moment in time. We have wars in various countries. But our biggest challenge at this moment in time is something that impacts upon all of us, and that is the climate change. Unless we now look at this very seriously, and our politicians in particular, who have the power to bring change in this world, pay special heed to this crisis, we will be taking this world to the path of destruction. And I worry that our future generations will not forgive us for when we had the opportunity, we did not take proper action to save the world for their future. Now today we are gathered together to promote a message of peace and brotherhood. This is because this is the very purpose of our existence, to promote peace. And we are the followers of Islam, a religion by its definition stands for peace. But how can we adhere to the teachings of peace? This indeed introduces a very broad spectrum of possibilities. But as Muslims, as we do with any aspect of our life, we look to guidance from the word of God, the Almighty, in the Holy Quran. The Almighty has stated that the key to global peace is to turn towards the Creator and to move away from sin. In chapter 2, verse 208, Allah the Almighty states, "O ye believe, come into submission wholly and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Surely he is your open enemy." This concept was further elaborated and personified by the message of Islam, by the messenger of Islam, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. His life was a reflection on how we can attain peace, not just within ourselves, but through society. It is noted in a hadith that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was noting to have said, "Forgive him who wrongs you, join him who cuts you off, do good to him who does evil to you, and speak the truth, although it may be against yourself." This indeed is a big statement and difficult for one to adhere to at the best of times. But as followers of this great religion, it is our duty to ensure that not only do we adhere to the values of peace, but we promote them in the greater society. Therefore, today, as we meet here to remember those people who sacrificed their life for us to have peace today, we must remember that we as a society have to now act to make sure that the world that we leave behind us will be a world where our children would enjoy peace. And this is the message that I would like all of us to try and remember, that it becomes our duty now to make sure that those people who 100 years ago sacrificed their lives so that we could have a bit of peace today, we should make the sacrifices today so that our children and our grandchildren and their children enjoy peace in many years to come. And in order to achieve that, we will have to protect this beautiful world that Allah has given to us. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we don't destroy it for future generations. May God bless you all. May all those people who lost their lives, may Allah grant them lofty status in the hereafter. and may Allah grant solace to those who are left behind. God bless you. I thank all of you who joined us in this very special day, and I'm particularly grateful to the PAAMA Association, Tommy Carlo and his team, who have organized this remembrance service, and all of our guests who come here today to be with us on this very special day. Allah bless you all, and I offer special prayers for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, respected Amir Saab. Indeed, we are honored and delighted that you spared some time, despite having thousands and thousands of Ahmadiyya Muslim community in UK, but we stand behind you. When you tell us to go on the street and collect for Poppy, we go. When you tell us to collect for Macmillan cancer, we do. When you tell us to support the communities, we do. And indeed, this is the command you also get from the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome the former leader for Labour, Honorable Jeremy Corbyn, to share his thoughts, and indeed, then we'll end with a silent prayer. Let me request Honorable Jeremy Corbyn to share your thoughts. Welcome, Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Toban, very much for the welcome and the introduction. I wasn't expecting to speak, but I'm very happy just to share a few thoughts with you. Assalamu alaikum to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association and everyone on this call today. And it's been beautifully done and presented, and explaining to people the huge sacrifices made by Muslim people in both of the world wars and other wars since then. Because too often those that were then citizens of British colonies and other colonies around the world were written out of history and ignored. Their contribution was written out of the history books, their massive sacrifice and losses that they made. And so it is important that all of those huge contributions be recognized and understood. Because if we don't understand those huge losses and sacrifices that were made, how are we going to educate the next generation? I don't want to see more wars. I don't want to see more hate on our streets. I want to see a world of respect. I don't say tolerance, because I think that is not respectful. I want to see a world of respect for all faiths, all identities, and people from all around the world, and an end to all the racism within our society. And as others have said on this call, at the moment, the COP26 event is being held in Glasgow. Indeed, I'm traveling there on Sunday. It's not just about world leaders, it's about all of us. We want our children to grow up breathing clean air, drinking clean water, eating good quality food, and having a similar life expectancy all over the world. These things can be done, but they can't be done if we spend all our energy, our efforts, and our brilliance on preparing for another war. Let's dedicate ourselves instead to peace. And I understand fully the whole message of Islam, of the Quran, is of peace. Fundamentally, every greeting is peace be upon him, peace be upon each of us. And so I think the service you've organized this evening has been absolutely brilliant and inclusive. And I'm very honored, and thank you very much for giving me just a few minutes to share those thoughts with you. Peace be upon all of you.
Peace be upon you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Jeremy Corbyn. And indeed, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community are looking for ambassadors, people who can work together so that we are able to defend our society, to defend our community. This event is a collective work done, not with only single-handed, but rather a community coming together. I would like you to request Lieutenant Commander to do a vote of thanks. Lieutenant Commander Susanna Lynch, if you can unmute yourself. Susanna Lynch, she is a member of the community ambassador, and indeed a backbone of the community ambassadors, who tirelessly, I remember sometimes when we have to edit a few things, which has to go over and over. But indeed, welcome and do a vote of thanks to Lieutenant Commander Suzanne, and we'll end with the silent prayer. Lieutenant Commander Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Toby. I wasn't expecting to have a speaking part either. So thank you once again to the Pan-African Ahmadiyya Association for your virtual remembrance event this evening. It's been really thought-provoking and poignant to hear the speakers, and to see so many people collected virtually, standing shoulder to shoulder in remembrance. So thank you again to Toby for leading, and to all in the community ambassadors as well. A lot of speakers spoke about what it is for remembrance, and again, remembrance to me is very personal. It's a time for me to stop and reflect on people I have served with, to remember with a smile and also a tear. So it is quite poignant. But for the service community, please can I thank you all for taking this time to be with us this evening and to show your support, because it really means a lot to our military community. And by military community, I mean those who served, those are serving, and our families. So thank you for taking the time to show your support with us. And I hope that you remember in your own way on Remembrance Sunday. So thank you again to all those involved. It is wonderful to see so many people across communities, across religions, united in remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Commander Suzanne. Now we end with a prayer, and I would like to request everybody, you have faith, you don't have faith. If you have faith, well and good. If you don't have faith, that is well and good as well. But have a minute to reflect. Specifically, remember the MP who has just lost his life, the families, and those who have lost their lives. So indeed, this is not about what color he looks like. Is he blue? Is he serving or not? Is he black? It's not about Black Lives Matters. It's about humanity matters. This is the message what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community are putting across. And I request you to remember once again Her Majesty in your prayers. Remember the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in your prayers. Remember the Pope in your prayers, and all your family and yourself. And now I keep quiet to request the National President, Ms. Amir, to lead us in a silent prayer. Please, let's take a minute to pray. If National Amir Sahib, if you're there, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes. Will you join me in silent prayer, please? Amen. Jazakallah.
Amen. Thank you very much. The IT department, you can now unmute everybody. They can say hello to each other. You can exchange the messages indeed to each other. But well, from my side, on the behalf of National President, Mr. Tommy Kalu, I thank you all for taking time to come and join us. And indeed, please feel free to share your thoughts in the charts and anything you would like. Next year, we want to be part of organizing, to be part of this. So don't go away, please. So we need you. So thank you very much once again for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Toby Sir. And I'd like to also thank every member from the armed forces also on here. I know there was a number of people that I personally reached out to, and I can see many of their names on here. So thank you again, especially to, I think the most senior one we have here is Air Commodore Adrian Burns. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on. And I see there's many faces and friends here as well from the armed forces across our tri-services. So again, thank you again for coming on board here. And hopefully next year we have a lot more people, and maybe if COVID permits, in real life.
Thank you. No problem. We have, of course, representation from the Sudan, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana. We all have them. I believe right now there might be time for bed, but they sacrifice to stay alive, to stay awake, of course. They can't be listening when they're, yeah, so yes, we thank you all for taking time. We have, of course, our members across the country, more importantly, our respected MPs, councillors across the country, mayors, armed forces. I cannot name the names. The list, I think we have over 59 different councils who have been represented. So thank you. I give opportunity for everybody. Please share your thoughts as we close out, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good night, everyone.
God bless you.
Hi,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Good night.
Toby,
Thank you.
organising
Thank
this
you.
as always.
God bless you. No problem.
Good night.
Thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you, Toby.
Shared.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Toby, as always. Good event.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Councillor
Good night.
Max. Thank you very much.
Good night. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you.
Any food available?
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. The
Okay,
Deputy
good
Lord
night.
Lieutenant of the.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Lovely, Beverly. Beverly's gone.
A fascinating evening, I must say.
yes.
And I welcomed the invitation, and I look forward to another one this time next year. Thank you very much.
We look forward to sending you invite, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We will see physically next year.
Inshallah. Korean voice.
I don't know, sir. Knowing Toby, he might fit in another remembrance between now and the 14th.
There's one on 13th, so allow me to share that invitation, of course. So it's one on the 13th. Feel free, it's for ladies only, as always.